Episode 12, Vidya Case. Sintra, Portugal. This strange occurrence took place on November 8, 2001, at Vidya Beach in Sintra, Portugal. This beach is difficult to access and features high cliffs. It is not monitored and lacks any kind of lifeguard assistance. A man who wishes to remain unidentified was surfing in the sea, while his friend was on the beach, accompanied by a nearby fisherman. The situation was observed and felt by everyone. While the surfer was in the water, facing away from the shore, he heard a rushing sound of air and looked up. At that precise moment, he saw a round-shaped object at low altitude. The object resembled the protective shield of the Curiosity rover, but had a textured, triangular scale-like pattern from black to grey with something circular in the centre. The object descended to about 1 metre above the sea and remained stationary at an approximate distance of 300 metres. The object did not use conventional propulsion because the noise it emitted was similar to an arc discharge, which, when passing overhead, gave him a sensation of electricity, as if he were near high-voltage cables. There was no sign of wind-induced agitation in the sea. The only thing he saw was something making contact with the water. At the time, he had a Casio watch and tried to check the time while the object was in the water, but the watch didn't work and never worked again. His friend, who was on the beach and had left the water about 5 minutes before the incident, hurried to retrieve his film camera, a Canon EOS 3000 with a 75-300 lens, and took the last 7 photos on the roll. The object remained near the water for about 2 minutes, appearing to move from east to west, from land to sea. After that, it ascended to an altitude of about 50 meters, moved slowly, and hovered over the surfer. His friend with the camera lens managed to observe the top of this object. It had no windows, had two reddish triangles, and was not smooth. It had other shapes that he couldn't explain. There was some kind of energy around the object, because there was a faint light around it, with various colors in that light. The most incredible part was yet to happen. According to the surfer, the object suddenly disappeared, and he could no longer see it, but it continued to hover above him because he could feel its energy and hear the electric sound. The object remained in this state for 10 seconds, and then, according to the surfer, it disappeared because he felt and heard the wind from its movement. Before seeing the object, the surfer had been underwater, so he was completely wet, both his hair and wetsuit. Incredibly, the wetsuit was dry on the surface that was out of the water during the sighting, and it was a cold November day with a light east breeze and high clouds. When he moved to the sand, he had to go help the fisherman, who was in shock from the sighting. About an hour later, when they had calmed down, the surfer noticed that his hands were red, and upon closer inspection, all 3 of them had some kind of burn on the areas not protected by clothing. In the following days, they experienced skin peeling, similar to a sunburn. The surfboard had blisters. The wax they used on the board had changed in appearance. A chocolate bar in the backpack had melted in its wrapper, and the wetsuit had turned greenish. They suffered from severe headaches for 3 days. All 3 witnesses of this incident received treatment at a local hospital, but made a pact never to share this with anyone, to avoid ridicule. When they had the opportunity to develop the photographs, the store employee asked if they had traveled by plane because the film had been exposed to X-rays. The only thing visible in one of the photos was a yellow bull. To this day, all the witnesses wish to remain anonymous. Subsequently, they were approached by the highest authorities in the country. The fisherman ended up being hospitalized with cardiovascular problems. Until today, the strange events continue to have a psychological impact on those involved.
Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and to turn on the notifications. I will see you on the next episode of UFO Real.